Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the How to Spot a Fake Natty series. Today I decided to armor up because I know after this one, because it's going to be the most controversial one I've done to date, I might have to dodge a few bullets. Our fake Natty of today is none other than Jess Norris, the IPF and USAPL's golden boy. The all-time Raw world record holder in the 198-pound class. This kid deadlifts 800 pounds or more. I haven't even checked what he's done again recently, while weighing 198 or less. Now let's state up front, when I'm giving my honestly held opinion on this topic, I am in no way detracting from Jesse's hard work. I am in no way detracting from his genetics, from his coaching, or his work ethic. Because obviously, because he's in the best of the world, he probably has to have the best genetics, he probably has the best work ethic, and he probably has the best coaching out there, or at least tied for all of that stuff. That is in no question whatsoever. Not even possible for those to be not at the top. It's not even imaginable. The all-time world record holder in the 198-pound class is completely clean and natty. The reason I state that, he's not just competing against the tested field because he's the all-time, he's competing against the untested field and all other federations who allow unlimited amounts of drugs of any type and every type, as much as you can afford or stand the side effects of. If he is completely clean, then drugs don't even matter for sports. They don't make you stronger. They don't improve your strength to weight ratios, because all the guys who can shoot unlimited amounts of drugs in any combination and stack that they want cannot touch his numbers at all. They cannot even be on his level. Even the ones with great genetics and amazing work ethics are not on his level. He crushes them. And that's why there's a problem here. He is the best. And before people say, well, it's just a matter of hard work. No, you cannot outwork a drug user. The human body has limits to what it will take before it overtrains, or before it can no longer adapt, before it starts breaking down. Drugs change that limit. If someone who is drug-free decides that they are going to train as hard as they possibly can, they will eventually overtrain, they will burn out, they will wear out. If someone starts injecting copious amounts of drugs to improve their recovery, they can work 20, 30, 50, sometimes 100% harder than the guy not on drugs before they wear out. And they still might not even do it. The reality is, if someone decides they're going to use drugs to improve their recovery, and they want to work hard, they decide they're actually going to work hard while on them, you as a drug-free lifter or athlete cannot touch the amount of work that they can put out. They will be able to outwork you all day long. Drug-free people cannot under any conditions work as hard as someone who's on drugs who decides that they really want to train hard. And when you're talking about competing at the world level in a strength sport, everybody up there competing for those numbers is giving 100%. So he cannot outwork them. In fact, they will all be outworking him. All the guys on tons of drugs will be outworking him. So it's not a work ethic issue. It isn't logical to assume that he's clean. And people talk about drug testing. Well, guys, guess what? Drug testing doesn't work. Even the Olympic level testing, people have beaten it over and over and over. Victor Conde's talked about Olympic athletes. He helped beat it. In fact, back at the 2012 Olympic Games, after they spent $4 billion on drug testing, some of the urine samples that they took when they devised a new test that the athletes and the coaches hadn't been made aware of, they took a new test a year later that they had devised, and for a single steroid, just one steroid that they had found a new way to test for the metabolites on it, out of the urine samples, the old urine samples, some of them that they had kept, they went through and tested them, they found 200 samples from the previous year from the Olympic testing that had tested clean in 2012 that under the new test had turinabol in them. 200 of them. So those athletes had just known the detection times for the current test, used the drug anyways, and when a new test was devised, it could detect it later. No big deal, because they weren't made aware of the test, so they just had to let it pass. But we know they all passed through on it off of just a change in the metabolite test. So those were all doped people. And with 200 of them, most of them weren't even placing first. So it begs the question of what better drugs did all the others have, because turinabol is a really old school, outdated drug. The drugs are out there to get through the testing. And let's go to the other thing. Let's look at Jesse. I've noticed that Jesse gets favoritism. The IPF and the USAPL makes this big deal about how their standards are the strictest in the world and they only let the best lifts through. I have judged international meets. I watched Jesse do a world record on a deadlift, I think last year in a video, and I made a big deal on social media that I'm not saying he's not an amazing lifter or not the best, but it was a red light. I would have to, as a judge, even in a federation with supposedly less standards in the USAPL, would have to red light the lift. That was no lift. That is no world record. It was not a legal lift. He didn't lock the deadlift out. And he hit slightly on top of that. So he had 2 violations, but mainly the lack of a lockout. So the IPF clearly gives Jesse leeway because he's their golden boy. They give him leeway on the actual lifts and the judging. So if they're willing to do that for him, right there where the public can see it, how do we know that they're not giving him leeway on testing? How do we know they're even testing him? How do we know that they're not just using a clean sample and sending it back and saying, oh, there's his drug sample, it's all good? So if they're giving him special treatment on that, it wouldn't surprise me. It's not unreasonable to assume they're probably not giving him the same treatment as other lifters on the drug testing either. So at the end of the day, when you look at this logically and you break it down, if you still think there's any possibility whatsoever that Jesse Norris is clean and he's not using creatine and whey protons, then you are absurdly naive and I have to question your critical thinking skills. Or you have drunk so deeply of the IPF Kool-Aid and you're so entrenched in their cult that they have clouded your capacity for reason, and you should probably walk away for your own mental health at that point. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.